CATV is proudly presented by Toyota.
Shane, you're back in the green and gold. Tell us what it feels like.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be back with the group and working with all the boys, which has been good. Good vibe in the group here in Cape Town. Obviously, a big test match coming up, but yeah, it's been nice to be back in the group. But the boys are all very good. They're having good spirits, so yeah, I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Well, tell us about your role and how it came about.
Well, speaking to Darren Lehman, I speak to Michael Clark a lot too. We're sort of working out with the 2020 with some of the spinners, given the conditions coming up in the 2020 World Cup. It's going to be spin, all in Dakar. So I'm not sure how tired those wickets are going to get towards the end. And obviously spin in 2020 is it's crucial. So working out the tactical side of the 2020 boys, having a good look at Muirhead as well. I'm pretty impressed so far with the sessions I've had with him. He's done okay as well. So there's a few good spinners around with Hogg and that as well. Then they've got Maxwell. There's a lot of other guys that can bowl. So we're just trying to get a week together when they're all in one spot where we can all bet together. So that was how it sort of came about. And then Darren and Buff and Pup wanted me to sort of be amongst this test match as well. And how it's all panned out, it's worked out pretty well at 1-1 and being around the group. So that's how it sort of panned out. So my role is to help out, just be around the group for the test match, and during the test match work with the 2020 boys as well.
Well, T20 was supposed to be the death of spinners, but now it's almost the opposite.
Yeah, 2020, the spinners do really well. You know, basically the batsmen see us as step and fetch it bowlers, and you know, we have a bit of success, which is always nice.
Why do you think Australia's done so well at international level in T20 cricket and in World T20 Cups?
I think the flexibility of the side, the fielding is outstanding. I think, you know, Mike Young's done a great job with the guys, and I think, you know, when you've got guys like Warne and Maxwell, you know, Clark, you've got so many wonderful fielders, and even the bowlers like Mitchell Johnson, you know, I mean, he's an athlete, and the way he's so when you've got a good group of guys in 2020, you save runs, you take your catches, and you know, with the flamboyant batsmen as well, and the innovation they have, and the bowlers been able to execute all their drills and skills, you know, it's a combination of a very, very good side.
What do you think? What's changed since the inception of T20 cricket to the way it's played today?
Well, I think that it all evolves all the time. I think the biggest thing in 2020 is the fielding's just got better and better, but the innovation from some of the batsmen. I mean, it's hard work for the bowlers now. The grounds are obviously small, there's big bats. You know, if you've got a deep mid-on, once upon a time, well, I better hit it over mid-off because mid-on's back. Now they just clear over mid-on. They just back themselves to hit it over. If they don't, they get caught on the fence. So it's that real attitude and mindset of the batsmen of trying to score all the time. Running between the wickets. I think just all the facets of the game have improved, but mainly that taking on the fielders on the fence, I think, for the batsmen is why we're seeing so many more 4s and 6s. You know, 10 years ago when it first sort of started, people would hit it where the fielders weren't. Now they just hit it over their heads.
At training today, you were talking to Nathan Lyon and working with him. What were you guys working on?
Yeah, working with all of the spinners actually, but mainly we work with Nathan Lyon, just talking about some specific batsmen in the South African team that have done pretty well so far, and just working on a few plans. And there was no whiteboard or anything there to work out fielders, so we had to use some bottles to say where the fielders were, which was pretty fun. So we came up with a few fields, and hopefully in the test match, we'll work on a bit more tomorrow. But if that works, and hopefully it comes good in the test match, it'll be nice.
1-1, the decider on Saturday. What have you made of the series?
Well, the test matches have been a total contrast, haven't they? Australia smashed South Africa in the first one, and then I think South Africa sort of flexed their muscles a little bit in the second test match and said, hey, we're number 1 here and you're on our turf. So 1-1 leading to Cape Town, a spectacular venue for the test match. Couldn't be poised any better. Australia have been on fire. They've won 6 of the last 7 test matches. It's now time to stand up and beat the number 1 test side in their backyard. It's a huge achievement.
Now, you're the leading wicket taker for Australia at Newlands. What can we expect from the pitch?
Well, it generally bounces a bit here. You get a bit more bounce. It does reverse. Looking at the pitch also, they've shaved a lot of the grass off, so it's quite coarse, which means it'll spin. So spin, bounce, and a bit of reverse swing. New ball, you get some good carries. It's a pretty good cricket wicket. The biggest thing, I don't know how many test matches I played here, probably 3 or 4. 3, thanks for that. I think that in those things, it's a bit like Brisbane or Headingley. A lot depends on the overhead conditions. If it gets cloudy here, and there's a bit of forecast for a few showers on the weekend, I think Sunday, Monday. If it gets overcast and cloudy, the ball can swing around and seam a bit. When the sun's out, it's flat. So it's a real, you know, hopefully win the toss, bat, and the sun's shining those first few days and post a big score.
Can you remember 2002, 70 overs in the second
Yeah,
innings.
I think I bowled 70. I was saying to someone today, I think I bowled 70. I nearly got the new ball myself.
70 overs. We had an innings lead in the first after the first innings, but then they put up a really good fight back and had to bowl 7 overs with a busted hammy.
Yeah, I tweaked my hammy in the warm-up. I was pretty excited. It was my 100th Test match. I was pretty excited to get to 100, and I was jumping around in the warm-ups, and I just grabbed my hammy and called the physio over Hooter and said, mate, I think I've done something to my hammy. So he did all these things. He said, mate, you're in a bit of trouble. You've got a bit of a slight hamstring. I went, well, I can't not play. And he said, well, just take it easy. I said, no, we'll be right. Anyway, 72 overs later, I think in the second innings, it started to get a bit tight. But yeah, it was one of those. It was a good Test match, actually, really good Test match. Got a few runs as well, which was tidy.
And finally, how much is Australia going to win the third Test by, and who's going to be man of the match?
I think Mitchell Johnson will enjoy bowling here a bit more. There'll be a bit extra pace and bounce. I just feel Ryan Harris has bowled really well without a lot of luck so far. So I think those guys are going to make it tough for South Africa. I think Australia will win. I think Michael Clarke will get a massive score in this one too. I think when I was on the line in the Ashes in the first 2 Test matches, he made hundreds. Hasn't made runs for a few Test matches now, which is a good thing. I think people are sort of saying, Michael Clarke hasn't made many runs. I think that's a good thing because we haven't relied on him. Everyone else has stepped up. Now's the time for him to just flex his muscles and show why he's the best batsman in the world.